All right, it is Tuesday on Daily Delivery. I'm Michael Rand, Patrick Reusse here, a day later than usual, of course, because of the holiday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Patrick, hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a better weekend than the Twins. That was not
Man,
great.
what a bunch of disasters. And of course, it's all started because we get all excited when Royce Lewis shows up and they put him in center field. And he now will, if he never goes back to center field, Mike, he will have the all-time record in Major League Baseball history of averaging one put out for inning for his career in center field. He had 3 putouts, but the last one, he looked like kind of a neophyte center fielder when he was trying to get back to where the ball was going to go. He was kind of backing up rather than, running hard. And then he started running hard and he banged the wall as hard as he could get. Everybody's comparing it to some Buxton bangs, but I don't know if I've ever seen Buxton hit the wall as hard as he did. And you knew something. I was there and I made a $500 bet with myself that we were not going to see him again, even though he finished the inning. And he, of course, did not come back. And it wasn't because of the usual Doc Rock caution either. They said bone bruise on his surgically repaired right knee. I'm not so sure about the shoulder either, the left shoulder. I don't think we'll see him for a long time. I know they're trying to talk like, maybe a DL stint of 10 days, but that looks longer to me. So he's out of there. And then yesterday they're in Detroit, and it's first reported, I saw it on MLB, that it was that while Baldelli is not like to have scheduled days off for both Buxton and Correa, somehow because of the doubleheader, they decided that they were going to, give them both yesterday off, which seemed incredibly stupid to me. I went nuts, but then we find out Correa was sick and he's got COVID. So he's vaccinated, by the way. So he was going to play at Toronto. So you now have 5 players who were not going to be able to go to Toronto. And then you got Correa and Lewis who can't go to Toronto because they're either got COVID or are injured. So it's going to be real interesting to see what they come up with. The only position player I hear that at least at the point when I heard this Sunday before the game, Kepler was the only position player that was unvaccinated and couldn't go to Toronto. But Miranda then had been sent down to the minors, and I don't know what Miranda's vaccination status is, but sure. They're going to be missing a whole bunch of players, and they've been trying not to tell us who the non-vax guys are, which causes people to come out and say, I saw one tweet this morning, Correa's an idiot, he should have been vaccinated. Well, he is. He just, a lot of vaccinated people are getting this. They're just not getting it as serious as other people, usually, in most cases. So anyway, it looks like and then they lose the ball game 7-5. They couldn't stop them. And, Dylan Bundy battled his tail off, but then the bullpen came in and gave it up, and they lose to Detroit. And they got 4 more with them, including doubleheader today. And then they go to Toronto. And this is there's no way to pull out of this. I don't think. I think this pitching staff's going to go completely in the tank myself. And I think that this is going to be a team that going to have a hard time staying above 500 when push comes to shove. So I just don't think the pitching is going to get to the finish line. Sonny Gray, who was their best, he's hurt for the second time, probably heading in for the injured list for another 10-day stint. And the rest of them, Joe Ryan he's got the DL, and he might be a non-vaxxer from my hearing. So couldn't pitch in Toronto anyway. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting here, Mike, to see what they come up with. How would you like to be Toby Gardenhire? He might end up He might end up having players from Fort Myers on his team here.
Seriously,
it's over. Yeah. So
well, it just goes to show how fast things change, right? I mean, what the discussion 10 days, 2 weeks ago was, oh, you got to keep Royce Lewis. Oh, is Royce Lewis the future? Carlos Correa, how long is he going to be here? And then it turns out for a little while here, you get neither. You don't get either one of them because, obviously.
And you get Polanco, who's a very good second baseman, back on shortstop, where he's a very mediocre player. And then you get Arise to play second, which means you have to have Butcher Boy Miranda play first base. That guy is a hack in the field. I saw him play third last year in St. Paul, and he wasn't very good over there. He has no idea what the hell he's doing at first base. He's terrible. And he lost the game yesterday by that stupid play that he, if he would have not tried to make. Did you see that throw?
No, I missed it.
Yeah. Do you have T-ballers?
Actually, my 8-year-old starts her first softball today. So first ever.
She would have made a better throw to first base after she backhanded the ball. He threw the ball like a little kid that went halfway down the line.
Oh, geez.
It was he's just a klutz. And he's swinging a bat a little better yesterday. It looked like, just even though he was only gone one day, it looked like he getting sent back to Myers at least made him say, I got to start swinging at pitches when they're down the middle of the plate early in the count. So he looked like he's, a little more aggressive at the plate, but he's a hack in the field. And I don't know I don't know if he's a vaccinated player or not. So we'll find out, I guess, if he's in Toronto over the weekend. But if he's not, and let's see, Kepler's not, I would, and I'm not betting that Kirilloff is a vaccinated guy just because of some things I've heard. So I don't know who. I guess we're going to get to see a heavy dose of Contreras here the next few days, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bad time to be in this situation because the Tigers aren't great. They could still pull out of this with a few more. They got 4 left in Toronto or 4 left in Detroit because of this 5-game series, so they could still get a little bit well there, even with a diminished roster. But then we've been talking about how this schedule, it kind of ebbs and flows. But after Detroit, you got Toronto Yankees and Tampa for a whole bunch, and that's a tipping point of the season. If you make it through that somehow, if you go 4-5 in those games, you probably feel good about yourself, especially with how diminished the roster is going to be in Toronto. But man, you've been wondering how they're going to keep it going, and this is the first big test since they started playing well. Like they haven't been playing all that great lately, and now to get this, and it just. I don't know. I think you're right. I think the pitching has been overachieving, but still, the division's still not that good. So they might hang in there for the whole year and be semi-competitive in the division. But yeah, it could take a turn here real fast. You're right about that.
It's early. They haven't played 50 games yet.
I know. It's 29 and 20. Yeah, 49 games.
Yeah, they played 40. Today's their 50th game. By the way, this doubleheader was scheduled. It was on the schedule when it came out last September.
It was?
It was not added when they were trying to make up that week they missed. This was on the schedule for some reason. Why they would be scheduling a 5-game series, I have no idea. Or maybe they added the Thursday game or something. But this game was Mitch Hested from the Viking Twins PR was telling me it was on the schedule in September.
Huh.
It's really weird because nobody puts doubleheaders on the schedule anymore. So
no.
Maybe they only go to Detroit twice, and I don't know. Or no, I bet they have 10 games at Detroit. I don't know. I don't know why it was, but and here's the other deal, Mike. Is Cole Sands the best you got in the minor leagues? This guy's not very good. He's mediocre as can be at St. Paul. It's not like there's any pitcher in St. Paul that you say, boy, we got to get him up here, or anywhere in the system, really. They're running up guys from St. Paul who aren't very good pitchers. So, it's a slap together bullpen right now, and having this guy start, I'd be shocked if he goes 4. And guess what?
Hmm.
When they're playing Kansas City and people are saying, they're losing to Kansas City, I'll take the Kansas City lineup over these guys. Yeah. When you got some injuries going, they got a good lineup. And Detroit, they thought they were going to be pretty good. And they're terrible. They've been terrible. They haven't been hitting, but they're not. I mean, they go out there against the Twins, the collection that the Twins had yesterday. They should beat them because they're better. The Twins are. Here's going to be, I've always said, look at what the odds are on the day before the game.
Yeah.
The Twins are going to be underdogs game after game going into this period now because of the pitching matchup. So, when you're an underdog, most of the time you get beat. So it's like every other sport. Yeah. It's about the time we were going to find out how the public enthusiasm was when the Yankees come to town next week. Well, we aren't really going to find it out because you're not going to get to see the real team for God knows how long here. So Buxton has to go back and play center field, 80% of the time if you're going to survive this.
Right.
So I don't know. It's bad. I had somebody say, boy, I hope Royce Lewis can be the first great shortstop they've had in 30 years. Well, Guzman was pretty good. And they have a great shortstop right now. We all assume he's only here for 1 year, but Correa is a great shortstop, but not having him now for 7. It takes 6-7 days to clear this MLB COVID thing, right?
Because I think so. Yeah, I think so.
You got to have 2 straight. First of all, you have to have no symptoms, and then you have to have 2 straight positive tests. So I mean negative tests. So. It takes the last time they missed a week. All of this said, man, Louis Arias can hit, Kenny.
Oh man, what did he hit, like 360 now? Something like that?
Yeah, it was up to 371 a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if they got him out, but that guy can hit, man, alive. It was amazing. They were starting the season. He was only playing about half the time for a couple of weeks. We all kept saying, he's not bad at first base yet either, comparatively speaking, if you're opposite as Miranda. Yeah, it was a disaster, and it could turn into making it a long summer by the time they get out of this mess.
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake for 24/7 gaming, fun restaurants and bars, and luxurious hotel rooms. And join Club M to bask in the rewards. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
Okay, all this intro reminds me of an email I got Sunday. I just pulled it up from listener Brent. Says, Michael, next time you have Patrick Reusse on your podcast, tell him these Twins are better than he thinks. Some of the younger guys are hitting the ball. Pitching is better than we all thought. Patrick is just too negative. I think his favorite word is terrible. When you said that, it made me remember this email. You are more reasonable. Keep Reusse in line. Well, first of all, nobody's going to keep Reusse in line. Reusse is going to say what Reusse says, but I don't know. I think the Twins are okay. I still feel like we don't know yet how, I don't think they've proven anything yet. I think they've have a better than expected start in a bad division, but I think we'll learn what we need to learn in the next month still.
Sanchez better than I thought. He's not much of a catcher, but he's better. He's still got some offense and he's still got some hitting in him. I like Ursula. He's a really good player, better player than I thought. But right now, the outfield's a disaster when Buxton doesn't play, and it's going to get worse. We all were waiting for Royce Lewis to be the savior, and he lasted 3 innings because he was playing a position he shouldn't be playing. So, and this pitching staff, who Bundy, that's the best usage. That's the real Bundy you got yesterday. Went 6 innings, but he gave up 4 runs.
Yeah.
I like Ryan a lot. Bailey Ober hasn't looked that good since he came back. Sonny Gray's broken down for the second time. They have no pitchers behind these guys. The Josh Winder getting shut down with a same kind of arm injury he had last year.
That's hard.
That's,
Smelter's been good, but
Smelter's been good, but I look at Smeltzer now, even though Kansas City faced him twice and did okay. I looked at him as a guy who, when you're playing division teams and they keep getting to see him, if they see him twice in a week, I think he's in trouble. But he's never really pitched bad for them when they give him a chance. He just doesn't impress anybody. But if he gives you five and a third and gives up 3 runs, you think he had a pretty good day. So we'll find out. He's the best chance to win a game today. But Miranda first came up. He was terrible as a hitter. He's always going to be terrible in the field. They are there's some inadequate fellas out there, that's for sure. So anyway, was it Brent?
Brent. Yeah, Brent.
Well, keep optimistic, Brent. If you can stay optimistic through this, you're something that I will. That I can't replicate. I wrote a column the other day or Sunday's column about the lure of the June swoon. The lore of the June swoon with the Twins, which hasn't actually occurred as much as I thought it had. But in the 60s, we used to always talk about the June swoon if we were fatalists, because probably dating to the first year. But the reason I wrote that was I strongly anticipate a June swoon.
Yeah, I don't.
If they're over 500 when they reach the All-Star game, I'll be shocked.
Wow. Well, they're 9 games over right now, so that would take some doing. But like we said, like we talked about that bad time to be banged up right now.
Well, it's a bad time to be unlucky. And they're right now. It's just we were talking this spring about how everything that is happening for the White Sox was negative, and teams get vibes, teams get vibes, and, Lance Lynn breaks down, blah, blah, blah. They had all this bad stuff happen to them. Well, teams have vibes, and right now the vibe on this team is disaster. So anyway.
You are, let's say you're Tim Connelly, new Wolves president of basketball operations, being introduced to the media today. I guess they wanted to wait till after the long weekend to get all of those, kind of that second wave of headlines that comes from the formal introduction. He's like, welcome to town, Tim. Now go make decisions on the 2 biggest things you can with, the Karl-Anthony Towns Supermax and D'Angelo Russell. If you were Tim Connelly, how do you sort this whole thing out? Because you're coming off a playoff season. You're coming in with a track record where you have, taken a team from, kind of the ground level and built it up. So you kind of know what that looks like. He comes into a pretty good situation, gets a lot of money, but there's some hard decisions to make, and a roster that you can't just stand still and expect to get better here, even with some relatively young players on this roster.
All right, let me say this. The silliest thing that I've heard, and maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong on it, God, help me. I'm an idiot. But the idea that they might give D'Angelo Russell an extension is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why in God's name would you give him $30 million for 3 more years?
No way. Yeah, you can't do that.
So why are we even discussing that he's due? You have to make a decision on extending him. No, you don't. You know what the decision is. You're not going to extend him, and you can have him ride out the contract and, play for you this year if you can't make a good deal for him. But my number one thing is trying to get rid of him. And if you can trade an expiring contract, fine. Otherwise, you can keep the expiring contract, and it helps your salary cap situation, right?
Yeah.
But you have to give the cat the super max. You got no choice, and then you got to hope he, after having his knees injected and his hip injected and his shoulder injected and everything else, basically went to the stem cell center and said, "Give me all you got." You still have to pay him because he's, as upset as you can get with him once in a while. And no matter what Charles Barkley said, he's your franchise and you got to keep him. So, Edwards is his co-star, but you got to give him the super max, and you got to get rid of D'Angelo Russell. And you got to get a point guard in there. got to get somebody who knows what he's doing. Can't be Jordan McLaughlin.
No, can't be that.
And I mean, he's nice what he does, 60 minutes a game, but and you have to get somebody who can rebound. You got to get somebody who can create. You can't be skinny. Jared Vanderbilt is a solid guy when when he's walking down the street, but in the NBA, he can't be your number one rebounder because he's muscular, but he's thin. And you need somebody to crash the boards to help out Cat on the boards. So that's what I'm going to do. I got to get a guard. I got to get a guard and a rebounder, and I got to get rid of D'Angelo Russell. Those are my tasks if I'm Tim Connelly, because D'Angelo Russell will he's going to miss 15 games just at D'Angelo's whim, and that's kind of the way the NBA is now. But B, you have to get Cat some help, and you got to get a guard in here who's an actual guard. And I don't know where they draft. They got a bunch of draft choices, but they don't have the first one until 19, right?
Yeah, they got 9. They've got 19. Then I think I've got 3 second-round picks this year.
Maybe they can figure out a way to move up, but I don't want to be taking the dive and then giving up a number one again and do it the whole deal. So I don't know if you can move up or not. What are they saying about this draft? Is it you know what is amazing, Mike? There's a billion people in the world who play basketball, but it's amazing how fast the NBA draft runs out of players that you can get excited about.
Yeah.
There's about 8 each year, and then you start drafting 18-year-old Europeans that you never heard of.
Right.
So it's amazing how many non-sure things are. And when you go back and you look, like there's just a whole bunch of them that I was remembering to go to that draft. Which one was that? Moutier was going to be like, boy, this is moving up the draft, flying up the draft.
That was a Connelly pick.
Yeah, he's playing in Turkey or some damn place. Somebody asked him about Moutier today. What happened there? He was excited to get Moutier. Yeah, I never thought of that. And he also, he's not perfect. He also gave a tremendous amount of money to one of the Porters, right?
Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, 5 years. I don't think it ended up being a super max, but 5 for 172 for a guy who has only played 125 career games.
Yeah, and that hasn't worked out great so far.
No, he missed almost all this last year.
But he did, to judge him this year, they didn't have Jamal Murray. He was smart enough. He took Jamal Murray, and after we did him the favor of taking
Chris Dunn.
Yeah. Oh, God almighty.
That's not good.
That was my guy Tibbs. Chris, he liked those hard, tough guys.
Defense,
Dunn, Kogi, and Boy, did anybody ever get phased out more than a Kogi? He didn't play at all this year. They gave up on him completely. He'll probably end up with Tibbs, won't he? He'll be Tibbs' 9th man or something next year in New York.
Tibbs always goes and gets his guys again.
Yeah, well, you talked about it. It'd be great to figure out a way to get Brunson, but probably go to New York and play for his dad and Tibbs, right? So
yeah, it's this roster is just interesting, and I think you're right. Cat, you got to swallow and just do it. But man, 4 years, $211 million. This is just, it's like, that's just ludicrous money.
You got 2 choices though. You can start all over.
I know.
Move Cat, and, start all over for the 23rd time.
I know.
So
I know it's not a choice. It's just an absurd amount of money.
Yes, it is. Well, you find out here's the trouble. The NBA is making so much money through TV that the salary cap keeps going up, but the roster doesn't. They got 15 players, I guess, but 7 of them are meaningless. They're down at the end of the bench. So there's 7 or 8 players divvying up this incredible amount of money on each team. So they just, A $13 million extension for Pat Bev, for God's sakes. How's that guy make $13 million? I'm more offended at him making $13 million than I am Cat making $211. I'll tell you.
No, come on.
He's insane. He's nuts. He's gonna turn out to be the biggest pain in the ass they've had. He's not.
Yeah.
He plays defense, but just shut up and play. God almighty, what a fraud.
Sometimes these guys on the second year too, like it was, you get that first year and everything's great. Like the Sam Cassell, Latrell Sprewell, they come in, everything's great, veteran leadership. Then the second year, the wheels kind of come off. I am a little leery of that happening with Pat Bev, although I think he's got a little bit more game left in him than those guys did.
Terrible offensively, though. He's okay, good. He's great defensively. He gives you something, but even when he's guarding somebody, he makes the guy so mad that he can't wait to get revenge on him.
That's true.
He thinks he's intimidating John Morant by doing all this idiotic stuff. I don't know. I can't stand the guy, but I'll give him that he did change their defensive ethic. And
yes,
I think it's a good influence on Edwards defensively. Edwards started guarding people more than he had in the past, but I don't know where they are. I mean, you look at the West, it ain't they're not a cinch to be in they'll be fighting to be in the playoffs again.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't fight to be in the playoffs last year. They were in the playoffs all year long, but 46. Did they win 46? Right?
46. Yeah, that's what they won this year.
People stop telling me they won twice as many as they did the year before. They played 10 more games.
Right.
Okay,
yes.
So we got to put that asterisk in there. But I'd be very shocked if they got back to 46, no matter what they do.
Yeah, it does feel like the kind of like, even though it was a very good year, not a great year. It does feel like a lot of things went their way last year, both in terms of health and the West being kind of down. I don't know. It's a fascinating offseason. It's interesting that they've got Connelly in here now. He did a lot of good things in Denver, drafted Jokic, obviously, with the 41st pick in 2014, I believe. By the way, there's a Serbian named Nikola Jovic that'll be drafted right around the time the Wolves draft this year. That would be it. What's that?
Guy?
Big guy, 6'11". Yeah.
Okay, let's get him in here. I like those. If he's half as good as Jokic, of course, the trouble is it takes him a little while. I mean, like Dirk Nowitzki was going to be the greatest bust in the history of the NBA, and then he turned out to be a superstar. So you got to wait a little longer for the Europeans to some degree. Let me say something about our old friend Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Ungodly in Game 6, 47 points, did everything, wouldn't let him lose in Boston. But yesterday, I'm watching the end of the game. They're going to have a shot to win the game. And I'm saying to my TV, don't let Butler take the shot. He's going to miss it.
Yep.
Because we see that this team, this idea that your superstar has to take the shot drives me nuts in the NBA, because somehow you're demeaning. Somehow Jimmy Butler would be unhappy if Tyler Hero took that shot and made it. That's what the mentality is of the coaches. I mean, the guy was phenomenal, but how the 60-some games he played that season, they lost. They had a lousy record. The 20 he didn't play, but there were 5 that they let him take the last shot. And he threw a rock, just like Garnett used to. You used to always have to have Garnett take the last shot, and he banged the front of the rim every time. The NBA is so stupid. Let them all run to your superstars. They'll let him dribble around for 5 seconds and then take up a bad shot. It drives me nuts because, Jimmy Butler is a fantastic player, but he's not the world's greatest three-point shooter.
No, he's not.
What are you letting him take a 3 for? Let Tyler Hero take the 3, or Duncan Robinson take the 3.
Right.
The real shooter. I was hoping Miami made it to get to the finals, but it'll be good final. Boston and the Golden State. Boston's weird. These NBA playoffs, I mean, we had finally had a close game with the Miami comeback. They have been really weird. They've had some decent series, but the games themselves have been blowouts.
Yes.
Like that's weird. I mean,
it is very weird.
Some team wins by 25 and then they go home and get beat by 25. It's just very strange.
Like I tweeted the other day, the playoffs peaked with Wolves versus Memphis. That was probably the best series we had.
Yeah, it was. If you're, especially if you like disaster.
Yeah. Well, there's that. If you have a penchant for disaster.
They choked away 4 games, and they choked away 4 games. One of them twice.
Right. Yes. Right.
I count that one twice, and then so I don't know. It is. I think there's more discussion going on about the Wolves though than there has been.
Oh yeah,
that's good. We like the coach, and we're going to be excited. And the new GM is going to win the press conference today.
Always
going to win the press conference. It's very hard to lose the press conference. Tibbs, he kind of lost the press conference, and then who's the last? Oh, Chili's the all-time loser of the press spot. That Chili was actually a pretty good guy who put himself in that outhouse that first year and never escaped from it with the fans because he came off as such a dork the first press conference he had. But beyond that, we have very kind views of the press, and that's a big thing now. Can you win the press conference? I don't care if this guy comes off as a babbling idiot. If it appears he knows what he's doing, so that'll be good.
I also like that he's my age. He's mid-40s. I'm tired of these whippersnappers coming in here and making me look bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We do have all the young geniuses. The young geniuses with the Twins are, that there's an asterisk next to that label here for right now. So
quotation marks around it sometimes.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, you're right. It should be good finals. I'm looking forward to it because Golden State. What an interesting story. I mean, just they go in the tank for a couple of years with all their guys hurt. And then you're like, are they? How good are these guys going to be once they get healthy? It's just mileage years on them. I mean, yeah.
Plays in his 30s.
The same core. This is the same core that went to the finals like 5-6 years ago.
Draymond's in his 30s and he's 6'6", guarding set. So
Curry was drafted in 2009. I mean, we're still not over it, but that was 13 years ago. I mean, he's got to be what is he, mid-30s now?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it is. It is a pretty amazing thing because they're still doing it without a center. Basically, Kevin Looney's their best big man. He's 6'8", I think. So it is a weird, but and Curry does not carry him as much as he used to either. He'll have games, but he isn't as fantastic as he was. Hell, the best he ever was it last year? He was just incredible, but they didn't do him any good. So
yeah.
Or 2 years ago, maybe the COVID year. I remember I saw him playing some games. Maybe before the COVID shutdown, he was just playing like a maniac. So anyway.
Should be fun.
That'll be fun, yeah. Hockey's been fun too. And how about those Rangers, man?
Yeah.
They were down 3-1, right? Did they win 3?
What's that?
No, they didn't win the last 3. They were down big though, weren't they?
I feel like that series went back and forth. That series, I think the home team had won every game. So I think they were down 3-2 and then they won game 6 and then they took game 7 in Carolina.
They end up with the home ice advantage if there isn't such a thing in the NHL anymore, though. They ended up with the same number of points as the Lightning. They had one more win, and maybe it was head-to-head during the season. I don't know why, but I was surprised to see the Rangers as the home team. But, boy, I think they've had 2 7-game series. You have these 2 7-game grinds. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay's been sitting down there at the beach for a week since they left Florida. So go get them Wednesday night in the Garden, boys, because the Lightning are mean. So, the Rangers are up against it now. They got this kid. They got the kid from Wayzata on their second team defense. Remember the kid that I think he played at Wisconsin, Keandra Miller, or what? That had the racist.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to do a piece on it back then, and his mom did not want to participate. But his Rick Helling, the old pitcher,
Yeah.
Lives out in Wayzata, has been kind of his mentor. I think he's a single parent father, and Helen ran into the family at some kind of a function, and he became real close to close. He lives out there, became real close to the family. I'm going to try to slap that together again if I can get, the kid didn't want to talk back then when that whole happening, and the mom didn't want to get in on it either. So it was hard to get into, but I think he ended up playing out at that thing in Ann Arbor more than he played at Wayzata High School.
Okay.
But anyway, he's a good story. He's on their second defensive pair and plays all the time. So
lots to look forward to, Patrick. We'll do this again next Monday. It's June tomorrow. Man, the summer's here. Let's get it.
Yep. Mentioned in your notes Jeff Glandy too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jeez, what a
sad
tragedy. Died in a car crash on Saturday. Was it early Saturday in the Dallas kind of Texas area? Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know the way the guy ended up with the domestic abuse assault felony charge. The Vikings let him go, dropped him, and then he ended up getting acquitted. Whether that whatever that meant, and Phoenix had signed him, and he ended up getting killed in a car crash. I don't know what the circumstances were, but the way the youth of America is driving these days, post-pandemic, as you drive through the Lowry Tunnel.
Oh man,
that, there's a lot of risks being taken, and especially if they have really fast, nice vehicles. So I don't know what happened here, but there's been three of these lately too. So
it's
anyway,
sad. I saw that this weekend. I was like, man, I hadn't really thought of the name in 6 months, probably since the NFL season. It's like, what? Wow. Yeah.
And congratulations to the Twin Cities media here. We haven't given we're getting one story a day slipping into the paper on the Vikings, whatever the hell they are, or the voluntary stuff.
Organized team activities.
Oh yeah, we kind of backed off on the OTA, so that's a good idea because none of it means anything at this time of year. So even with a new collection, so congratulations to all of us for TV and everybody else for kind of ignoring it. So anyway,
they're running a 3-4 defense now, though, Patrick. It's going to be totally different.
All right, and
all right, sir. We'll see you.
Heath has 3 weeks to try to figure out how he can get more than one goal a game.
Yes.
They're Mike. 14 games, 15 goals.
That's not it. Can't do it.
Come on.
They lost to
fire Heath because he should be playing the 5-3-2 more than he's playing the 4-4-1 or whatever the hell it is. So
they lost to Union Omaha, that third division team in the Open Cup the other day. That's
they did. That was very dramatic. But as I pointed out on Twitter, they are averaging more goals per game than the Aurora, so that's good.
Jeez. Love it. All right, sir. We'll see you. Bye-bye.